just like that, they buy it. They eat it up. You pander to them, you thank them. I mean, really, people, I thought you were a little bit smarter than that. I mean, it's just so easy to say the name of the city. You cheer.
Hey, Stephanie,
you cheer. I mean, just come on.
Welcome to the A Show.
We have breaking news. Breaking news. This is the first time I feel like we've ever done this. I mean, we've done this before, but we haven't done this in a while, so it feels pretty new. We have breaking news, pretty big news. So big news that we had to. It is 11:06 on the East Coast, 8 a.m. on the West Coast.
Absolutely.
It is.
I thought my work was done.
Yeah. Justin is feeling every bit of 8 a.m. on the West Coast.
God.
But we had to we have to talk about this because there's no way that we can kind of wait a week and let this settle and let this marinate and let everybody else talk about it while we give our thing. Breaking news. I don't know why they broke it at 7 a.m. on the West Coast, but breaking news, a major shakeup to pretty much how things are operating from show-wise in the WWE. It was announced on Sports Illustrated earlier this morning and confirmed and doubled down on WWE.com that Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff will become the executive directors of Raw and SmackDown Live. Subsequently, both. So Raw will be Eric Bischoff. Raw will be Paul Heyman's show, and SmackDown will be Eric Bischoff's show. Whew.
Now, I mean, I said it when you told me. I was like, they're not fucking around. They're not playing whatsoever, regardless of how you think about, the ages of Heyman and Bischoff or what positions that they played and the Attitude Era or beyond. This is a huge, huge decision for the WWE because it means that they are essentially giving these two, love them or hate them, two of the most creative minds, in the wrestling business, full control of their flagship shows.
Right. So essentially, both of them report directly to Vince. To me, this is, once again, it's a major shakeup. When you take a look at Monday Night Raw, potentially, I know Paul Heyman has been like a creative consultant, but now his role is official and his role is director and his role is the top. And I'm assuming, considering his previous creative roles, this might be a little bit different. The most exciting and the most, jarring part to me is SmackDown and Eric Bischoff. That's something I never saw. I never even fathomed.
He has the network television experience,
right?
That Heyman doesn't have. I think them going into Fox, they had to shake something up. We knew they were going to be shaking up this show. We knew that they were going to be shaking up everything. Eric Bischoff is someone who has had that experience before. Like he knows what the hell he's talking about. So just super interesting just from the outset of how they're handling this. And it's so strange, maybe this is 8 a.m. reaching for me, but it's like so strange that it's like they kind of made the best decisions but also the most risky decisions they've ever made. Like these two guys, as creative as they are, they're very volatile.
Right. But the thing is, what's most intriguing about this entire decision to me is, one, beyond everything, they still report to Vince, but two, it kind of it's really considering Vince's position and how it's kind of begun to change over the last years. This is a major change for at least him. At least him being out there on a weekly basis and being in control of these shows or running these shows. Right now, it would seem, I don't know the specifics of position, but it really just seems like he really now only has to go through two people. to talk about anything ever. Like he doesn't really have to go through the entire sit in the creative meeting and feel suggestions and really go through the creative process with the creative members. He really has to, like, now it's a FaceTime call. What are we doing on Monday night, on the weekends? What are we doing on Tuesday night or Friday night, over the week? And that's kind of it. It's wild. It's crazy. It's the further, especially with XFL coming next year and everything that he has his mind of, it's further continuing, I don't know what the process would be called, but I wouldn't say weaning out, but it's more so like a delegating of positions and more of a structure and a shift.
Absolutely. I think that, like, this is massive, like this is, it's game changing. And I mean, the fact that they've announced it as such, I mean, it's the truth. I mean, also people, look at what shows they're on. I mean, Heyman running Raw, and I don't think that, like, this should be, not looked. I don't think it should be looked over at all. But, like, I remember as far back as, like, when Kaz was working for the WWE, and he was saying that he was working with Rousey, he was working with Lashley, he was working with Alexa, he was working with everyone there, but without a title. So, like, he's familiar with those acts on Raw. So it makes sense for him to do that. I'm interested in seeing how Eric Bischoff develops talents like Roman Reigns on SmackDown.
Right, because this is his first. I mean, I wouldn't say not. It's actually not his first. It's probably the one in a long time, probably since the TNA era of that we talked about previously in our decade episode, that he's really had a creative control or a creative stake in the company, and his first time having a creative stake in the WWE. I mean, this kind of to me, his outlook on what wrestling or SmackDown should feel or look like is the most. We've seen it before with Paul, but with Eric Bischoff, it's a little bit, it's a little bit different. It'll be interesting to see how he wants to put all these key players in line and who he feels like can be sort of a future of SmackDown, or who he sees can sort of carry the brand into this network era. It's very, very different. Like,
we've seen the stakes as far as, I mean, and your guys are going to be able to hear it on our episode today, as far as, like, Seth Rollins and people speaking out. Like, we've seen the stakes for the WWE within 24 hours go from 0 to 160 million within that amount of time. Like, they are not fucking around.
No.
It is serious to them right now.
It's in terms of just how I feel like everything should sort of go, it's to me, when I first heard the news, I'll say this: my first reaction to the news was like, okay, this is interesting and cool, and they're both experienced and great at what they do. And if you want to build executive, if they're executive directors, these are certainly people with experience and age and things like that. I'm just hoping the continuing of the new ideas follow. And I think with Paul Heyman, you definitely do that. Paul Heyman has always prided himself in trying to be cutting edge and trying to listen to the voice of the people and things like that. That's what I hope sort of continues. And I know Eric Bischoff will as well. Eric Bischoff is familiar with the current market and familiar. He's constantly in TV shows, constantly in production meetings, constantly doing this. I'm just hoping continue, because it's weird when you look at it.
Mm-hmm.
The end of 2 decades ago, 1999, we had these companies going in, and once again, the head, Vince McMahon, Eric Bischoff, and Paul Heyman, going into their respective, with their respective companies. Now we're heading into this new decade, 2020. It's 20 years later, and these are still kind of the paramounts of, like, what, wrestling is.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk a lot about, like, things have to be progressive and things have to be moving forward. And not to say that these guys aren't moving forward, but maybe the ideas of continuing to have these guys in these positions is a little bit like, I'm not fully, that's just my initial idea. It's like, we're really doing this again? Like, is there no one else? But honestly, I don't know. There might not be anyone else that Vince McMahon trusts.
I mean, not even just Vince McMahon trusts. I know a lot of people wanted it to be Triple H, but I mean, they and interestingly enough, PW Insider is reporting that Heyman and Bischoff will have Triple H-esque power
Mhm.
Like the power that he has on NXT, they're gonna have on these shows, which is these shows are gonna be very, very fucking different. Let me
Yeah.
tell you, they're gonna be very different if that's the case. But I mean, but regardless of who Vince trusts, I mean, these are two of the biggest minds in the business. I mean,
In
Bischoff hasn't.
history.
Yeah, Bischoff hasn't been around, as recently, even just booking shit since the Impact, era, which he hated. But Heyman's been around.
Yeah.
Heyman's been in the creative meetings. He knows how everything works. He's had a line on it. Like PW Insider is also reporting that they've been trying to sign Heyman since like February of this year to do this. So like you got to know they rolled the bag out for him. Like we knew changes were going to be made when they got this money, and we're seeing it right now. Like we are seeing them try to boss up and just be like, you know what, fuck this shit. I think that like the one thing that you're worried about, Meelz, I also worry about as well. But it's also like, damn, it's gonna be really exciting to see what Heyman can do on Raw. I'm really excited to see this shit.
And that is our breaking news segment. We're gonna get back to the original show. The show that we recorded yesterday features a ton of talk. Stay tuned to today's show.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. You are listening to the A Show with the Kings of Pro Wrestling Podcast. I am Justin, here with Meelz. We are back again at full power this time. Meelz is back from vacation. We missed you so much, Meelz. What's going on?
I feel good. Sometimes I'm not gonna, it's not that like, I just need to get away. Like sometimes you do need to get away from the show. And sometimes, especially considering we've been doing this for how many weeks running, it's good to have, 1 week off. And then luckily we have a great team. Shout out to Mark, where you can like cover me, and like we can, and it still be a very entertaining, very cool show. So once again, shout out to Mark of RSPN. And, I feel good. A lot of things happened. A lot of things went on over the last couple of weeks that I'm very glad that I was just able to like sit, breathe, and chill a little bit. And it's important to always do that. I always feel like it's important to just, take a step back and just like really just take a breath on all these type of things.
Yeah. I mean, you do so much. I think, myself and Mark said the same thing last week. Like you're the lifeblood in a lot of ways.
I listened just to make sure that Mark wasn't doing my job better than I am. Of course. I tuned in. I'm an A Show listener. So,
You're the lifeblood of this, man. Like you had an excellent interview with on
Chatting with Nelson.
Yeah, Chatting with Nelson that I listened to today. And I think you undersold what you do for us here. You're not just a manager, you direct and I don't make a move unless I ask you about it, so it's way deeper than what you even said. If you want to be humble, I'm not gonna be humble like Meelz. He pumps,
I gotta be humble.
You're the heart of this shit. So if you want to break, you can take all the time you want, bro. I'll make the covers. I'll try and do everything.
The cover was a little bit rough. I'm not even gonna. The cover, a little strong on the colors, a little strong, but it's.
I was going off your template. All I did was replace the picture.
Well, yeah, you got to play around. I may have taught you things that I know, but I haven't taught you everything that I know.
I love that you're doing this live on the show right now. Like, I love that you're doing this right now. That's great.
I was like, you know what? It is fine. It is really. What's the worst part again? We're gonna have to use Seth Rollins on the cover again because my God, this week in professional wrestling, what a firestorm that man has started up. He's truly burned down our timelines. Like I did that.
I love that. You could do that better. Let me just say.
Okay. All right. Okay. Tip of tat. All right.
Yeah, you feel me? Let's go. Let me actually get off Twitter because Twitter is in a fucking firestorm right now as we speak. As we go to air here. But this all started like the WWE AEW beef is getting very, very heated. And it hasn't even hit October yet. Seth Rollins said, you know what, man, fuck this shit. He got on Twitter last weekend before Stomping Ground, and he said, you know what, we got the best pro wrestling on the planet.
And here's the thing, though, with that statement. That statement wasn't meant to be argumentative. That statement was meant to be definitive from his opinion. That statement wasn't meant to start a firestorm. That statement wasn't meant. Now it did, because pro wrestling fans
people are
and people are sensitive. People believe we're in this current era of AEW versus WWE, and it's not something that's it's not fully up to the surface level yet, but it is something that's boiling on Twitter and boiling on social media, and a lot of pseudo aggression towards both sides, even though I don't think I don't know. It just is, but I don't think that was meant to start what it ended up starting, but boy, did it start it.
Yeah, I mean, let's just go right from like the tweets from the beginning. Somebody told Seth he needed to calm down. He needed to calm it all down. He said, "No, let me dial it up." I've sat back and watched idiots with no clue talk poorly about the place I dedicate my life to every hour of every day. The level I perform at on Constant is untouchable. Time to let them know. And then Will Ospreay, from New Japan Pro Wrestling and other indie promotions, said, "I'm alive," in response to, they got the best wrestlers alive. And he said, Seth Rollins said, "Oh, I'm sorry, little guy. We already have a better version of you on here." And he just won his first U.S. title tonight. Even tagged Ricochet, who just won the U.S. title at Stomping Grounds that night. And he said, "Keep working hard, though, buddy." And then he responded.
How do you feel about that?
That's fine. Well, here's my thing. They crushed Triple H's throne. They say that we're not doing these scripted promos. They say we're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. They've stayed silent. Everyone has stayed silent since January about this. No one has said a damn thing as they tried to openly poach their talent. They've had everyone talking shit from top to bottom about WWE 4 months. It is almost July, 7 months in. Seth is the first person to say anything. People have been coming for them for years. I mean, if you want to keep it 100 with people like Ospreay and all that other shit, for years.
Right.
They've been coming at him for years. They've been coming at WWE for years. I could see if it was just out of nowhere Seth said that. You know what I'm saying? Like, these motherfuckers, I mean, they're not even on TV yet. And I mean, Meelz, we've been saying this for months too. They need to tone it down with this shit, because they don't want it to get heated.
Will Ospreay isn't in AEW though, is he?
Well, I mean, in general, like New Japan. That's why I kind of opened it up. Like, people like Ospreay have been going at Seth Rollins for years. Somebody dug up a video of Will Ospreay openly dissing Seth, and what he does, like the burn it down thing. So I kind of opened it up, like, okay, it's everybody, but it's like, motherfuckers, it's okay to shit on them all day long, and then when they come back, it's not okay anymore. That's my issue with this right now.
I think sort of, and a lot of people, and sort of the narrative of this all, because it looks like the big bad WWE is coming down on these small companies, when that really, Seth Rollins kind of cites this as just, it's time for respect. And for a long time, they've been sitting there and they've been listening, and quite frankly, they've been listening to the product stinks. The AEW is going to do this, New Japan's doing that, everything is going this, there goes that, and he's coming. He says for the first time that, listen, I'm just responding. I'm not. What did he say to Wade Keller?
He said, hold on, I think I have it here. He said, where's the Wade Keller shit? Let me bring it up. There's so many fucking.
There's so many tweets.
There's so many tweets. He was like going in.
He was going in. But you know what? He was emotional, and it's okay to be a little bit emotional about this entire thing. He
said something about the amount of money that he makes.
How do you feel about that? I mean, it's just different. It's not good or bad. It's just different.
Well, why not? The thing is, a lot of people not gonna understand that type of talk. But we understand that type of talk. We listen to hip hop.
Here's the thing with that. I mean, to me, it kind of the Seth Rollins Will Ospreay thing. It just more so comes like, listen, we're the best. I think Seth Rollins sees himself 100% as the leader of the locker room, especially considering he's holding the championship of championships. And for a long time, it was held by Brock Lesnar, and now it's Seth Rollins. And he kind of gets to take back and really step to the forefront and say, like, hey, this is my thing. This is my business. And if you guys have a problem with it, you need to take it up with me. All the sort of I don't know. There's a lot of other variables like the money talk to me. I don't think it was necessary because it's like, duh. Like to me, it's like very like obvious that you make completely set up money. One is a publicly traded company, one of the biggest in the world, and one is, I mean, it's like probably second or third or something along those lines. So I don't really think it was necessary. But I do. The only thing I really feel is the call for respect. Do you feel like WWE and especially the performers aren't given enough respect in general for what they do?
I think a lot of the people get confused about the criticism comes. I think a lot of people are misguided in their criticism. They're pretty much mad at the decision makers, but not the actual. You know what I'm saying? Like not the actual performers, but they lump the performers in. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, it's like, you know, it does it in the end, like they're not making any sense because it's essentially they're mad at Vince, you know. So it's just like you're lumping them in, but it's like of course Seth is going to take that. He's going to take that as an affront because at the end you are pretty much putting your foot in your mouth when you're saying, okay, you know, even though the writing isn't good, the performers are worse or something like that. It's like you're comparing directly like a Will Ospreay to a Seth Rollins, but it's like, again, Seth works just the same amount of matches, or if not more than Will Ospreay does on days where Will Ospreay isn't even working.
Probably. I mean, so in terms of the tweet from Wade Keller, he says, this isn't a good tone at all if he wants to get people who love good wrestling, regardless of the brand, to feel goodwill towards WWE's strengths and its vocal leader. Buddy, little guy, disappointing and character-defining condescension. This is heel Corbin promo content. Seth Rollins responded with, I don't care about goodwill, Wade. I care about respect. And if some kid who thinks he's got it all figured out wants to step to me, then he's going to get patted on the head and sent on his way, and so will you.
Yeah.
Good for him for dog walking Wade Keller.
Yeah, Wade Keller needed to stay out of that.
It's a, you know, the entire, and it spread beyond that. I mean, Corbin got involved. Who else got involved? I feel like Jericho a little bit.
Jericho did. He laughed at it.
It somehow ended up in Drake Maverick and Mike Kanellis's lane, and they sort of, it was pretty much a free for all on the timeline this week.
Yeah, everyone was going at everybody. All the shots were going off, but it's like Seth started this, and for somebody who, like, again, never really shook the table, like him coming out and saying, you know, I'm going to be the leader. I'm going to shout out my brand. I'm going to shout out my company. I fuck with them. I fuck with everybody that I work with. I'm the leader. Even seeing it when Ricochet won the fucking title on Sunday, like he was the first guy there in that little backstage segment on Stomping Ground, like
clapping it up.
Yeah, that was a good, you know, that was a good moment. But my thing is this, it's like everyone loves the shots until their return. It's like everyone's like, okay, Seth went too far. It's like, what do you guys mean? All you guys talk about is Saudi Arabia, all this other shit every single day. You know what I'm saying? It's like when he's.
Go ahead.
I think that it's. I don't know, man.
I think it's definitely a general feeling of you can dish it, but you can't take it, because at the same point, it's like, to me, I say about the NBA and things like that. Like, we have all these reporters reporting things and all these fans coming things. Well, what happens when an NBA player claps back? And they're hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of followers come back and they're coming at you as well. And now you kind of make you seem, now it's kind of like, maybe did I make the right decision? Maybe did I not make the right decision? But you have to be able to take that nonetheless. You have to be able to sort of stomach that and be able to, you know, will that to yourself nonetheless. You have to be like, okay, I can take this, because at the same time, if you can dish it, you can definitely take it. Yeah. If you want to talk about Seth Rollins, if I'm talking about Dolph Ziggler, who I do not like and still do not like, and this week still do not like, I'm ready for Dolph Ziggler at any point in time. He'll come in my mentions and say like, hey, and I'm ready to clap back. Like, it is what it is. That's just the name of the game. That's how, I guess, Twitter goes. One person responds, and then another person responds, and another person responds back. That's kind of how it goes. For people to kind of be pitting Seth Rollins in this sort of aggressive tone as if he should play nice. Right now, not even that. It's silent as much as like, hey, he should play nice. Because he's saying things like condescending terms, like, well, there's a part of him that's also earned that, you know what I'm saying? And then maybe everyone should be treated as humans. That's how people should be. I mean, everyone should be treated on the same level as humans and all this other stuff. But at the same time, he's someone who's put in multiple decades in the game, at least one, maybe even more than that.
Seth Rollins is a world traveled, celebrated champion,
right?
in a fake sport,
right? This is true. So I think he's earned the right to say, like, hey, listen, I'm done playing these games. I'm done. Everyone's calling me out about so forth and this and that and the third. I'm done with that. Like, it's it's time to talk back. And I think probably the most surprising thing was his comments regarding the Jon Moxley situation.
Yeah, and as much as I loved what he was doing on Twitter, I thought it was great. And it's like, and again, before we even get off of that, like, people talking about he's not even the best wrestler in the company. I'm like, it don't matter if it was him, if it was fucking Drake Maverick, if it was anyone else. I would still applaud them for standing up to that shit. Not everyone, because you know why people don't like this, Meelz? Because it destroys their narrative. It destroys the narrative that everyone hates working there. Because there's a bunch of people. You know who responded to Seth and said, like, Team WWE? Cesaro, which is someone that everyone says he should be gone and he would be doing better here, there, this, that, and the third. This guy, he co-signed it. You know what I'm saying? And that's what surprised me the most. I was like, man, that's kind of crazy that he even said that. But I'm like, yo, like, when you crush the narrative, look how the roaches scatter, so to speak. It's
damn,
like
you don't gotta call them roaches, buddy. Come on.
They have nothing to go off of. They have nothing to defend themselves with.
They ain't roaches. Everyone it's just the internet wrestling community. This is how it is. This is how it's been since whenever wrestling and the internet decided to mold together, since whatever WCW hotline or whatever the hell it is. Like, this is how it's always been. And to me, it's a lot more. There's a lot more venom in, I think, everybody and everything trying to say, like, even just people who having your opinions, like, you felt it. You've gone, you've said your things and you got people in your mentions talking about how you're going to work for WWE,
it's happening right now. They're upset because I said, fuck off to Kenny Omega. They're trying to dig up my old tweets right now.
Well, there's so much venom in sort of they don't even know him. They don't know that you paid the $8 already. But it's weird because when you pay the $8, not everything went away. I was like, they're bringing up shit. Like, it's only 2 tweets where they brought up 2 tweets. I was like, damn, I cleared out all the 2010, but they're still popping up. I don't know. They'll make some shit up, I'm sure. But I think there's a lot of venom. To me, I'm not what I say and what I also said on the Chatham and Nelson podcast is, like, I'm not particularly a fan of it, but I'm just a not confrontational person in general. I'm fine with whatever, and if I have to, I will. But otherwise, I'm not really. Because going back and forth, I feel like I don't like going back and forth. Sometimes you just hit the mute button. Sometimes you just ignore them. Sometimes you just go away. And chances are they'll go away as well.
I straight block. Motherfucker said that I said on this very show, that we should forgive Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I have no idea what show they were listening to.
I was like, I had to go back to, like, the episode and be like, did I really say that? I said, I know that I did say, we don't know what the conversation between Hogan and E was. So, like, how can we, tell E that he is this, that, and the third for forgiving him? That don't mean I think I even said it. That doesn't mean I forgive the motherfucker. But if he does, how can I argue with that? But when he said that, I was just like, that's the stupidest thing ever. So, like, I'll block the guy, and then he'll be like, yo, you're a coward.
Of course. What do you mean? But that's just how internet culture is now, especially with a lot of it. To me, all of this wreck and stand culture, to me, all of this I've seen, it's like I've watched the world burn before, and now I'm watching it again. This is all stand culture. It gets to a point on the internet where when you have competition, and this is what happens a lot in, like, the pop music realm, and, like, pretty much generally the pop music realm. It happens in some other areas of sport too, but it doesn't really happen. It's the most extreme, where people see competition and people don't know how to react, or people don't know how to just enjoy both of them. And they can't enjoy both of them because one side usually does something to the other side, and then it's become sort of once the wall breaks, all hell breaks loose. And it's created a lot of venom, created a lot of anger on the internet, and it's only getting more heated as we get closer to October, when everybody has to kind of show their ass with what kind of programming that they got. But I mean, we'll see for that. But once again, I want to reel back. And so the most surprising thing for me was Seth Rollins' comments on the Jon Moxley situation.
I am not as big of a fan of him doing that as far as the optics of what that looks like. If
I was Moxley, I would have been sick. Like, not sick, but I would have been really pissed because to me, what Moxley did was just telling his story. And to be sort of criticized for that because you have a different story and a different perspective and things worked out different for you. And I think just in general, they're two different people. While they are friends and close friends, they are just two different people who see the world in separate ways. It's not, to me, sort of getting on him for telling his story wasn't the best sort of action. And if I were Moxley, I probably would have called him like, yo, you could have called me and told me all this. You didn't have to go on Sports Illustrated media and sort of air me out because we're going back and forth between companies. And that's kind of where it goes, beyond the line. Like, we can read this sort of explanation a little bit, and maybe I'll read a little bit, but he says, Ambrose can do what he wants. He's a big boy, which is like also not the greatest terms. He's got his big boy pants on and he can go out there and say what he wants. But bottom line is, not everyone is equipped to handle the rigors of the WWE and the schedule and how it affects you mentally and emotionally.
Okay.
Not good. I mean,
Ambrose did,
he did for a long time. He was he's actually the most, I think he performed the most consecutive matches for a long period of time in the WWE just because he was never injured. So he was on the road for a very long time. Yeah. And then why it might have taken a toll on him. Maybe if he gotten injured a few times, maybe he would have much more clarity.
He just didn't like the creative.
Yeah.
Ambrose, he didn't like the creative, and the creative wasn't good enough for him. And it might have been good for Seth, or that might be, it's subjective. Like, it's not right. It doesn't have to be good for everybody. And, him saying, he took his ball, went home, all that stuff. I'm just like, that's the type of bootstrap stuff that I feel like a lot of them are taught, and they indirectly learn that, not exactly fed that. Hello, David fan. But, like, it is something that was like, it's not, in my opinion,
we've used that term before. I think it's a term that everyone used, especially, considering off the heels of what was it? That Austin thing in Austin 2002.
That's where we learned it. That's where I learned it.
That's where we learned it. And it's been a part of sort of wrestling vernacular ever since, of just taking your ball and going home.
Yeah, that's where they learned it. I think where I take a lot of umbrage with it is like, that's not exactly what John did. He finished his contractual obligation. They gave him a grand send off. I think we found a lot of fault in what he said. You know what I'm saying? And what Moxley said, and especially considering the way that he left and exited, and all of that other stuff. But it's like, Seth didn't need to put a dub on it, so to speak. He didn't need to put extra on it. We already had our opinion on it.
He said, he follows up, and I'm skipping a lot. He says, you need to take the first step, and that's looking in the mirror and asking yourself, did you do every single thing you could possibly do to make yourself and your situation what you want it to be? And if their answer is yes, you did, then you can go somewhere else and complain. And if you feel good about it, if that's where he's at mentally, then go right ahead. But if he hasn't done that and looked in the mirror and made that decision, maybe he should think about that. And that goes for any other disgruntled talent, past or present. So he's really, Seth Rollins is really putting a major target on his back for a lot of scrutinization from a lot of past talent, because quite frankly, my opinion on this is that you don't make who you are in the WWE ultimately. There's a part of you that does, and a lot of that is a lot of that is your effort in the ring, but essentially you're molded the way the character, the way the company kind of does, and you're sort of the storylines that you do, the character that you do, the segments that you pull off. A lot of these things are sort of what the company is like. Okay, here's where we're going because we are producing a TV show for WWE, and it's not sort of the fact that you can go into creative and be like, listen, this is what I'm doing for the month, and that's it. That's just not how it works. So for him to sort of be like, hey, if you really think that you've done everything possible, and there's only so many times you can go to Vince McMahon and just, talk to him, and then he just says like, this is such good shit. Like, just say shit like that.
Where'd that come from? Did I miss something? I know, but like, where did that saying? Was it from the Bray Wyatt thing?
No. That was from the Moxley podcast.
Oh, yeah.
He says that's such good shit. Like, it's, and it's just like,
whatever. Like, again, it's bad to throw your friend under the bus.
I think it is.
I see that Seth is playing he's playing the role. Like, and again, I love that he's clapping back.
But it's at the detriment. Like, at some point, it's like you're talking about professional things and then you're taking things a little bit personal. Like,
yeah, and I
would feel a slighted way and I think anybody would, honestly, if they were in Moxley's shoes, and feel a slighted way if you're deciding you're taking, because of the tensions and because of things, now you're kind of trying to dictate what I've done and what I haven't done with my own career. Sure.
I think he's absolutely wrong for that. I don't think he's wrong for speaking out. I think more talent.
No, I think more talent. Yeah, I 100% think more talent.
They should be if they feel as though, because the thing is, you got to crush the narrative. It's like, of course they're going to ride for something if they're getting good money. And, we're going to talk about two talents that did, choose what was best for them. You know what I'm saying? It's like some people choose what's best for them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they choose what's best for them. It's like here's my thing. Not everybody in every company can be a CEO.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no, you're just not gonna do that. But does that mean that because you're not the CEO, you're not happy? Absolutely not. Like, I think that crushing that narrative is fine. But again, like, Moxley already created a narrative on both sides of people who didn't like what he said and people who did like what he said. And that's just where it's going to stay at. Seth adding to that didn't do anything but put a bigger target on his back and make him put him under more scrutiny. Essentially, like, that's just what happened here. I think that, if you're going to say you took your ball and went home, stuff like that, like, remember that. Remember that when you're playing Triple H from 2001,
right?
Like that, because that's what I see this as. This is Triple H essentially when he was talking shit about Shawn for being addicted to drugs, or when Shawn was talking shit about Rick, on that thing. Like, wrestlers do this, and of course, everyone's gonna throw stones in live in glass houses there. Of course, like, Seth has done his shit, like, nowhere near as bad as like anybody else, but like, at the end of the day, like, Seth opened himself up to a lot of shit this week for defending his company. And some of it was cool, but in the end, like, I got to give him major respect points for calling out people that have really been trying to shit on his job for weeks and months here.
You know what? I'm not mad at that. Should we move on? Yeah.
That was our long form for the week. Let's talk about WWE cutting up their matches because they don't want matches during commercial breaks. So they've been doing a lot more 2 out of 3 falls matches, much in the vein of CMLL, just to make sure that there is a match on, there's nothing breaking up commercials, even though they sort of did still do it during SmackDown because they have that picture-in-picture deal on Raw.
No, it was only because there's the picture-in-picture deal. If there wasn't, that match would have been 2 out of 3 falls.
Yeah, like, for sure. And they have to do that with at least, I think, like 1 or 2 matches a week on there. So
here's my thing. They don't have to do this at all. No one is going to blame them if matches go through a commercial break, because matches have been going through commercial breaks since the dawn of WWE. Like, it's a part of Monday Night Raw for the last 1,000+ episodes, 25 years they've been doing this. SmackDown, 1,000 episodes, however long they've been doing this. No one's going to blame them if a match goes through commercial, and no one's going to say, like, you know what, let me change the channel. Like, it's been proven that people will watch. I think they're going through a tough period in their time right now where viewership is down. And I think them reacting to it immediately, instead of coming with possibly better creative, coming up with more exciting television, as opposed to deciding we're going to alter all the matches and ruin television even more.
All right.
I think it's bad. Like, it's bad.
I don't agree. I don't agree with that.
I think it's bad considering you're now, instead of, now you're playing with the only thing that fans can take umbrage in, which are the matches. Where the fans can take delight in.
But you're getting the matches during the show. Like, you're still getting the matches.
But at the same time, it's like you're going to get that anyway, right? Like, whether it went through commercial break, you're going to come back from commercial break and still have the match go on.
I've seen people complain and dock, literal ratings from matches because there was a commercial break that broke up 5 minutes of it. Like, I've seen it before. Like, there are people out there that don't like it, of course, you include it, but there are also people that enjoy the fact that they'll be able to leave for a commercial, come back, and get the full match that they want. Like, and here's the reason I don't dislike it, because I don't dislike the fact that they're trying new things, and they've been trying new things, and they've been giving the show a different direction, and they've been giving the show storylines, and I think everyone on Raw and on SmackDown was on there for a purpose on Monday and Tuesday. Like, there was nothing that I could say on both these shows, whether you liked them or hated them, that had no purpose in the long run, even coming off of Stomping Grounds. Like, everything had a purpose, everything flowed into each other. I mean, even, you look at Stomping Grounds, which to me wasn't like a traditional pay-per-view in the least, just as far as the way that they even built segments. Like, they had Ricochet go to the back, and then they had Heavy Machinery come right back out. Like, that was a cool thing that they tried there. It's like, they know that the viewership is down. They know that people are not feeling the product. But this is different from last year when you had the heels on top every single week and the baby faces look like idiots. We've got strong baby faces. We've got different types of matches. We've got longer matches still, but with a new stipulation where it's 2 out of 3 falls. It's like, I can't hate them for trying something different, because I think that when they get it right and they figure out what it is, and I think a lot of what people don't like about it is that the talents involved aren't talent that you want to be seeing in 2 out of 3 falls matches, or it's like, why are you breaking up the matches? Like, I should just stop trying to do match times and shit like that. It's like, okay, but it's like they're trying to reinvent something that they've been doing for years. It's very hard when you're essentially working with people that have worked one way for their whole lives, and that's okay. I think them trying and, people not giving them credit for trying something new is incredibly, kind of histrionic. It's like, just give it some time. I think it's too early for me to say, like, all out and out, I hated this, they should never do it again, because next week they could knock it out the park.
So I see what you're saying. I don't agree with it, because to me, it creates a lot of, like, to me, it doesn't change really, like, to see a match start again after a commercial break, to me, doesn't change from the match that's flowing through the commercial break. Like, it's a weird thing where they segmentize kind of everything now, and it's to the most micro level at this point. It's not even on a macro level where it's like, okay, maybe that's where we need to work. It's on a micro level where they're like, okay, well, this is going to happen in that match, and then you're going to have a pinfall. So now people are losing twice on Raw for no reason. So people are losing twice on SmackDown for no reason. It's weird. Yeah, it's not like it affects the show much more than it should, when instead of just having maybe this match lasts this one segment and maybe we start in a different match, it's like, okay, now we have Alexa Bliss versus Naomi, and then they're going to run in, and now we have a tag match right after, and legitimately you have the same result in both matches. So it's kind of like, what are we really gaining?
It's just one week.
This is the second week that it's happened. This is the second week. It started last week. It started last week. I swear to God, it started last week.
I'm not debating that. No, I'm not getting hype about it either. Like, but I don't feel that strongly about it.
I completely understand. I feel strongly about it because it's just so, to me, it kind of ruins the flow of the show. It very much so ruins the flow of the show. And then what they could be doing instead, and it just ruins the flow of the show. Even creative has to change because you're doing these type of things. Like, it's very weird in terms of just the story of the show to have these matches and everyone doing it over and et cetera, et cetera. It's just so weird. I don't know. It's just me. It's me. It's weird. It's very weird.
Again, it's too early for me to say that this is killing the
I'm not saying this is
everything.
killing the show. I'm saying it's weird. I'm saying it's not necessary. That's what I'm saying. It's not necessary at all.
I like what they did with Kofi this week when they did that. That was cool. I like what they did. I like what they did with Shane and the Miz too, with that stipulation. I think that the stipulation can be used to do really cool things. I think that women's match is kind of like an outlier. I think that if you're able to get two separate matches that make two separate teams look good, in the case of like the New Day Bryan Rowan match and the Heavy Machinery when they added KO and Heavy Machinery to it, it's like you gave both those teams the rub again, making your baby faces look strong so that when they lose, it actually means something.
What about the other guys though?
I think that does Daniel Bryan need to win all the time? I mean, Sami Zayn and KO, they
lose
just
twice in one night though? Like twice in one night?
They didn't both lose twice in one night. Two separate teams got pinned. It wasn't like Bryan took the pin twice. It was two separate teams. Bryan took the pin, and then I believe KO took the pin. I believe it was two different teams. You're also setting up programs for later. So it's like KO and Sammy beating the New Day. Heavy Machinery have beaten KO and Zayn, so that sets up two separate matches as well. I think that, again, as weird as it was still logical in the sense that the baby faces have beaten the heels before. Let's give them matches against each other later on and see what they can do. It's completely logical. It is weird, but again, it's like you get the full match anyway. You just don't have to. It just starts over after the commercial. That's all.
So when they do Miz versus Elias and say, hey, if Miz, you beat him in 2 out of 3 falls, you can get your match with Shane, and then he loses anyway. Could that not have been accomplished with one fall? Especially considering he lost the first fall anyway.
Well, it was 2-1, so he won the second fall because that's usually what happens in these types of matches.
He won by DQ.
It goes 1-1. It goes 1-1, and then
100.
Essentially it shows that Shane is afraid of Miz, and that's why he keeps interfering. He keeps doing a bunch of chicanery to screw Miz out of the match. It's a longer chance to get heat on Shane, which again, I don't like Shane as top heel, but it makes sense for them giving him more heat because now it makes me think that the end game isn't Shane Kofi. I think the end game is essentially at SummerSlam going to be Miz Shane again. That's what it's making me think.
2 out of 3 falls matches are not necessary in this, but
it's CMLL does it. So I mean,
how much time have we talked about CMLL on this show?
That doesn't matter. I'm just saying that's what they do. That's
but maybe it's not. I don't know. I don't think it's necessary. I'm not saying that, it's ruining the product and, we'll never do this, but I really just don't think it's necessary. I think it's the opposite of necessary. I think they need to focus their talents on other more enticing stories.
We'll see.
Yeah, we can see.
I think I'll wait and see on this. Mojo Rawley and Jinder Mahal both signed new 5-year deals.
Max deals, baby.
Remember I said earlier that there were a couple people that we were going to talk about that did what was best for their lives, essentially. And I think this is an example of that. Like, not everybody is unhappy in the system. I think that, again, if you think about the global reach of WWE, like, a lot of people find a fan base and they find a niche when they're there. I think them re-signing a Jinder is great because you need a Jinder. You need someone that, when they need to heat them up, they can heat them up and have him against a face, or, if you need him in a 24/7 segment, he'll be there,
What do you think about these 5-year deals now as opposed to the 3-year deals that they previously used to do? Do you think it's like a ploy to continue to keep people from jumping to AEW? Because at least that's what it feels like for me. Because 5 years is a great deal. Don't get me wrong. 5 years, what? Guaranteed money for 5 years? That's fantastic if WWE's your niche. But it's a little bit longer than 3 deals. It's obviously a change that they're implementing. A lot of people have been signing 5-year deals. I believe KO signed one earlier, and maybe also the Usos earlier this year. Not sure of the specifics of the deal, but it looks like they're moving more towards 5-year deals. Sort of any comment or any idea on, like, hey, they're 5 now?
I think 5-year deals should be the minimum that they go for. I mean, I think that you look at companies like New Japan who played themselves with like 1-year deals and doing these piecemeal 3-year, 2-year deals are like, that's just opening yourself up to getting played or even worse. I mean, I think even with talent that I might not see them at the top of the card, like a Mojo Rawley, like they definitely need them in other aspects where it's like a mid-card guy or somebody that can kind of fill out the roster. Like you can't, afford to have these guys, fall to the wayside, so to speak, in that instance. So, I mean, I think it's definitely a good thing. Like, even like if AEW wasn't around, I'd still be saying the same thing. I think you don't want these types of talents to go away because they could provide so much to your roster if they're there, even on an enhancement, basis, like the Ascension or somebody like that.
Right. I'm not totally against it, but I see what's going on. Mojo Rawley and Jinder Mahal both signed new 5-year deals. Congratulations to them. God bless the next 5 years. Now, one person who hasn't signed, who's very close to my heart, who has not been reportedly as of signed. I don't know how you feel about this. You're on the FMW ball type of tip.
Mm-hmm.
But Rusev Day. I'm a big fan of Rusev. I know a lot of people. All right, he can come, he can go. It is what it is. Rusev in the WWE. I don't know if it works outside of the WWE, is what I'm saying. I don't know if a lot of these people who have signed 5-year deals work outside of the WWE, which is potentially why they might have signed 5-year deals.
Absolutely not.
We've seen Jinder Mahal on the Indies, and it's like, I don't know if bells were ringing when his name was coming up. Even though I think Mojo Rawley's a talent that they barely utilize. Like,
what is there to utilize?
He's a great speaker. He's a great speaker. Use him for something that involves speaking.
Put him in Connecticut in the office with the social people then. Shit.
I mean, shit. Mojo Rawley starts bringing in YouTube videos. I'm not mad at that. But, he's a great athlete. But
Rusev hasn't or it's been said that his contract comes up in a couple of weeks or months or something like that. I also heard a report that said he wanted a leave of absence from the company, and they haven't granted that to him.
I heard they did.
Oh, they did. So
which is why he's not on. Yeah, which is why he's not on television right now.
Makes sense. I mean, it's cool that they did that for him. I think with Rusev, I think that argument came up if he was damaged goods a couple of days ago, and I think that he is damaged goods in the sense that I do feel as though a lot of his bad rep doesn't directly come from him, if you know what I'm saying. I think it comes from his wife, for sure. I think that there were a lot of points in his career that he could have broken away and done something really cool with his character, but he was literally right back next to Lana the next week. It's like we haven't seen him be much of anything without her. Like, she has to be involved in everything. And it's weird.
I think it's weird. But also, I don't know. Rusev and Lana just work. It's just a pairing that seems to just work. And it doesn't seem, when they're apart, it doesn't seem like it's right, which is weird to say. I mean, it's weird to have that such dependence on the character, but it's also kind of cool that these characters kind of like it. I don't want to, people are going to say, dude, you're wildin', but it's like Macho Man and Elizabeth in a sense. No, it's like they, they can, I think they can have, well, I don't know about Miss Elizabeth. Her character outside of, Macho Man. Yeah. But, I don't want to shit on the dead, but yeah. But in terms of just being together, it's just a pairing that works. To me, Rusev and Lana just work that way. And I just think that he wants the opportunity to continue to prove himself. And time and time again, I just feel like he's one of those talents who wants more, but they necessarily don't see more in him. And that's kind of where the disconnect comes in. I don't think they see him as a world champion, whereas he wants to get to the point where he can become a world champion, but they don't see him that way. That's what I'll say. We don't have to have a full diatribe on Rusev because there's a few more things that we have to talk about, including a pay-per-view that happened this week.
Yeah, I mean, if he's gone, He's gone. I mean, I didn't see him. I've never saw him as anything more than like an upper mid guy anyway. So I think John Cena damaged him way before I could even have that conversation. He just, to me, has always been that. I think they've always pushed him as that, so he'll always be that to me. I can't see him as anything else. Sure. AEW Fighter Fest is this weekend. Very little conversation about it. I don't know if I'll be watching it. Are you going to be watching it?
Probably not. But I mean,
I'm not going to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Probably not. I'll probably be doing something else. Anything that sticks out to you on this card? Have you seen the card?
Yeah, I've seen the card.
Anything that sticks out to you? Is it John Moxley match?
I'll watch it. I think the Bucks match, I guess I'll check out.
There's the Elite versus the Lucha Brothers and Laredo Kid. Mm-hmm. There is John Moxley versus Joey Janela.
Which should be crazy because they're probably going to allow him to do all types of crazy shit.
Let's see. There's a match with AEW World Tag Team Championship implications.
We talked about it last week on the show. The winners get a chance to get a bye by winning on a match.
Which is like the match you would have had anyway. I agreed with Mark. Yeah, what are you going to do?
Overthinking it.
Not much on this card, but then again, the roster really needs to fill out more on this. Let's talk about the. I didn't have it here, but we should just talk about the Evolve news, right?
Yes, WWE Network will be airing the Evolve 10th anniversary show on July 13th. It's going to be headlined by Matt Riddle versus Drew Gulak, as well. Yeah, very very enticing match, if you will, as well as Adam Cole defending his NXT championship against Akira Tozawa in what should be a really great match. This was announced literally today. It's going to be airing on July 13th, but it's opposite AEW's Fight for the Fallen, which is headlined by the Rhodes Brothers versus the Young Bucks. Kenny Omega got on Twitter literally moments ago. Yeah, moments before we even started the show. And the tweet has been deleted. I think many places that have
tweets are never deleted, as you probably
never
have figured out in the last about half an hour.
Yeah. only two though, which is like weird that deleted everything but those two tweets when I was like 20. But Kenny Omega got on Twitter and said, "If lining your pockets with blood money is okay, then what's wrong with trying to undermine a charity show for victims of gun violence? I hear that healthy competition is supposed to be a good thing, and yet I can't help but feel like I'm going to be sick."
I think he's not a fan. I think he's one of those people who are not a fan of the competition. And as while I think Cody and maybe the Bucks and maybe a couple other people are thriving on it, he's someone who really just wants to carry out his business and do his own thing. So I do think
he throws shots.
I do think in general it kind of maybe it's a cause that means a lot to him. I don't know.
It didn't matter when he booked a pedophile at the last charity show he did.
I mean, this is true, but once again, maybe this is a show. Not that I'm running over that. Don't get me wrong. That's terrible.
That was a Tampa show. That was a show that was for the victims of the club shooting. I think was that last one.
But I do definitely think that in this sort of situation, he doesn't feel good because it's head to head. But then again, this is the competition that it's been promoted and promised, right? The WWE versus AEW.
How is it undermining a charity show? This show was going to happen anyway.
Also, I don't even think they're in the same place.
They're not. And the thing is, this show was going to be that charity show is going to be streamed anyway.
Yeah.
It's not undermining it. You're both streaming. What are you talking about?
I'm not sure how much it undermines the show. It definitely draws attention away from the show, and I'm assuming that they wanted full attention on this show. One of the headlined matches is Cody Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes versus the Young Bucks that they promoted at that pay-per-view. What was it? All Out? Double or Nothing. There we go.
The rest of the card is smelly.
Well, it hasn't been filled out yet. But yes, it looks kind of smelly.
It's terrible.
But I mean, could you see his point or nah?
No.
Or you just no?
Because the thing is, if you're gonna have the same energy for Omega, if you're gonna talk about Seth Rollins and what he's done before and all that stuff, talk about what Omega's done before. I don't see your point. I don't see your point. I don't see the point of undermining it in healthy competition. This is as healthy as it gets. WWE's gonna put their. I mean, this card was like Meelz again. This card was happening anyway. So what is he talking about? It wasn't like they made this card yesterday.
And I'm assuming, considering the fact that it's airing, it's not like they said, "Oh, now we're airing it on the network."
Yeah.
I don't think they can necessarily do that. I think these things come with, time in advance, and especially when you're airing a independent wrestling organization on the WWE network.
I mean, if you want to talk about charity, I mean, you really want to talk about charity?
I don't know. I don't want to bring charity into this venomous
that's what I'm saying.
conversation. I don't want to really bring charity. I think everybody's doing well for themselves. Fans will watch what they want to watch, or they'll watch both. I think the fans win at the end of the day, right?
Well, some fans are going to be watching one thing over the other, and I think
some fans will be in Jacksonville, and some people will be where Evolve is. Like it just is what it is. I don't see how one affects the other.
The audacity for him to get online and say that as the president of the company, though, is a little bit. The optics of that aren't really good. I don't think he should have said anything. That's what you don't say something about. Like, that's the one thing you don't like. You don't come out like Seth wasn't saying fuck New Japan, fuck AEW, or you guys are lining your pockets with blood money or some shit like that. Like, he could. Well,
so I think from perspective, it's not. I think it's probably the best not to come out reacting
at all
in this way. Well, I don't know about it at all. At some point you address it, because this is once again they're doing another show also. I think it's All Out August 31st, which is going to go up against NXT UK's major show as well.
That was planned, but that was planned months and months.
That was planned
that months and months ago.
Plenty in advance. But it's the shows going up against the shows, But I think at some point you do address it, and you just like, hey, listen, we're doing what we're doing. They're doing what they're doing, and that's kind of how you address it. I don't think it's something where WWE is trying to undercut and stop you stop the proceeds for people for gun violence.
That's a sick thing to say in general.
But I don't know. I think he's just general. I don't know. I can't read his sort of. I don't know who Kenny Omega is, but I just generally feel like this entire competition. He's someone who's in the recent couple of months, I feel like, has stayed out of it.
He deleted the tweet.
Yeah, he deleted it.
He deleted the tweet.
It's for the best. It's for the best.
Also, just 6 minutes ago, CM Punk filed a lawsuit against Colt Cabana. So.
Oh, we still doing that?
Yeah, this again.
That's a bad friend.
Terrible friend. You want to talk about bad friends?
It's a bad friend.
But moving on. Stomping Grounds. Let's just talk about that really quickly before we get to the shows and get out of here.
One quick thing.
Yeah.
Netflix's Glow returns August 9th. I'm excited.
Can't wait. I mean, we got to definitely have an episode about that.
Yeah, I feel like we should just do a separate episode about the entire season.
I'm with it.
All right, let's talk about it.
Stomping Grounds on Sunday. I know, Meelz, you were off last week for our prediction show. Did you predict anything? Were you right?
I didn't predict shit.
Okay, cool. Well,
I don't predict things off the clock.
Whatever.
I predicted that I would not like the show, and it was much better than I thought it had any right to be.
I thought it was a good show.
All these matches shown by the times on this got a great amount of time. Everything's in the double digits. We had go ahead.
It felt different. Like I said earlier, it felt different as a show, just the way they presented it.
I'd say it felt different because it felt like a lot of these guys had a fire on their ass, because everyone sort of brought it in their respective matches.
And they didn't feel like Raw or SmackDown matches either in the way they were presented. They all felt like a literal.
Well, maybe the main event, but no. Yeah,
even the way that was portrayed was very much like an Attitude Era main event.
I thought it could have been a cool Raw main event. I mean, they could have split it up with no count out, one fall, and no disqualification, one fall, or however the fuck they're doing their business now. But I thought overall the show, especially if there's one thing that stole the show for me, it's that triple threat match for the Cruiserweight Championship. It was just so good.
I still got to watch it.
It's really, really good. And all these guys, they won the crowd over, which the crowd had, I feel like had no intention of going into that match and being excited from it, but they definitely won the crowd over. And MVP of the show might be Tacoma, Washington, because my God, they were on it.
They were hot.
They were hot for a crowd that was apparently like half filled. Did not sell out. WWE did not sell out by a lot. For pay-per-view, the first pay-per-view that they're doing Stomping Grounds, and they haven't done a pay-per-view in Tacoma, Washington in close to 11 years. They were on it and they were excited, and it felt like they had not seen WWE for a long time, and they were reacting. And
they deserve another one. They deserve another pay-per-view.
They deserve another one. Stomping Grounds 2.
I think that they were great. I thought that the matches were great. I thought Roman and Drew put on a hell of a show.
I thought Roman and Drew, that's probably, if I say Drew Gulak and Tony Nese and Akira Tozawa is the best match in the card, Roman versus Drew was probably my favorite. I think Roman Reigns has a great sense of timing. I've said this before. He knows when to draw you in. He knows when to bring you back out. He knows when to pull it. He just knows when to go forward, and it creates this incredible roller coaster kind of way for this match. And he's been killing it.
Wrestling Observer reported that the pay-per-view did 9,800 buys, which is a major low. I don't know.
No one buys pay-per-views. Why are we still reporting this?
Meltzer's been on this really weird tangent about pay-per-view buys and what AEW did, and it's like, okay,
no one fucking buys pay-per-views anymore.
Give me the network numbers.
Guess what? If you're that big and bad, just get the network numbers then, because he's just saying, this WrestleMania did 100,000 buys. So what?
Yeah.
Let me see the subscriber count. Like, that's what I'm looking for. Like, I don't see the point of pay-per-view buys anymore. And reporting it is, once again, it seems like you're fishing for a certain narrative that business isn't doing as well.
But when it's weird that they're fishing for this narrative, because it's only hitting the very small pond. I mean, in the large scheme of things, of wrestling fans that actually subscribe to these types of things. And the mainstream, to them, it might just be a down period itself, and they have other things going on. It's the summertime. They're going outside. They don't really give a shit about it right now. They'll be back in the fall. Or, I mean, even television networks. It's like, remember they were reporting Fox is worried. Then they're reporting, Fox, they might get a show on FS1. It's like
Fox wants Jerry the King Lawler. And I was like, yeah, Fox.
Terrible, right? But it's like, again, it is crazy that they're spouting this narrative to like maybe 800 people they're just gonna go on Twitter and talk about it. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Raw and SmackDown. I thought that I didn't really have a problem with either show this week. I thought SmackDown to me was slightly stronger than Raw. I think Raw was capped off by the excitement over Ricochet versus AJ Styles, which is a match that I thought absolutely delivered.
I'll say Raw was a little bit better than SmackDown this week. Okay. I think in terms of the shows this week, I think one of the major surprises that we got was the return of The Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
Just out of nowhere.
I liked it. I did like that.
That's how you do a return.
Yeah.
And to see Roman Reigns and The Undertaker teaming up is something that I probably thought we never seen. And he has the history with Shane McMahon, and Drew McIntyre gets a rub off of this. This is a win for me on all fronts. I like it. I love the return. It's one of the most viewed things on social media this week. It's incredible.
Yeah, I thought that, I mean, just like a broad stroke of things going on, I thought the elimination match was particularly strong as well. Again, these teams all going against each other, all great teams. I mean, really great tag matches started off. Another thing I want to talk about is the Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross storyline continuing through both shows. Mm-hmm. I think this, again, very strong. I hear the complaints that there should be more than one woman storyline, and on SmackDown there is, but on Raw, I do enjoy Alexa continuously kind of manipulating Nikki, and again, Nikki's character surprising me every single week.
Nikki's character, I feel like.
Sorry, I'm not sure.
I turned on Alexa again.
Of course you did. I was waiting for it. Would you say that she's benefiting from the lack of Sasha Banks that we've had?
Yes, I absolutely do.
So, did I say Alexa or I mean Nikki? I said Nikki, right?
They both are. I think Bailey is too.
I think it's weird to think, but we're getting Nikki Cross and Nikki Cross, who's been on Raw for months, and wasn't used for like the first 4 of them. So she's benefiting from this. I love the storyline. Alexa Bliss manages to carry it through. There's a great Alexa Bliss WWE 365 documentary.
She got a big ass house, man.
She got to listen. She's doing well for herself.
Mm-hmm.
She's doing well for herself, for that big ass pig. But it's I thought it's obviously building. We've seen something like this before. It's building towards something. I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah,
that's all I can say.
Really I enjoy it. I think that the AJ Good Brothers storyline, I'm very intrigued by it because I think logically you think that AJ turns heel here against Ricochet, but at the end of Raw, it didn't seem that way between them. What do you think is going to end up here?
I missed the end of Raw. I legitimately fell asleep at the end of the match. I feel so bad.
They hugged, and
I'm old.
They showed each other respect, and they hugged, and I was like, okay, well, I thought there would have been a swerve here, so I guess they're going to wait. But I think we're starting to see Ricochet in a bigger storyline here, which, again, remember I said I was going to wait 6 months. I mean, we're 2.5, 3 months into this, and I think he's doing well for himself here. I know a lot of people didn't like him losing, but it's not like he was losing to Robert Roode again. Clearly, this feud will continue. It's just a matter of how it will continue.
I mean, I didn't see anything really bad from him. I mean, it was just kind of, well, why did that happen? But otherwise than that, everything's been moving straight so far, and he's been moving very forward. He's won the United States Championship at Stomping Grounds, which is major for him. It's major for his career. He's in this battle with AJ Styles. AJ Styles can definitely lend, Ricochet his talents and lend his brain to this entire thing. So I think it's great. We'll see definitely where it goes. It doesn't seem to be ending anytime soon.
Yeah, and I'm glad they got him away from Samoa Joe almost instantly. I think that you don't stick to that very long.
Well, yes, speaking about Samoa Joe hasn't found a new playmate, and it is Kofi Kingston. How do you feel about that?
Thank you, God.
I'm going to be 100 with you. I don't know if I like this.
It's better than Dolph Ziggler, bro.
It's 100% better than Dolph Ziggler.
I don't know if Samoa Joe is the most dynamic opponent, which is why I think you might not like it. But I know the promos are going to be good.
So I think a large part of that, and also part of it is that Samoa Joe, it's great if you make him seem like a contender. But the man has lost more WWE Championship matches than people have had matches at this point on Raw.
What if he wins?
That would be great. I just want him to, at this point, he has to look like a contender. For me, you put him in this situation, it's most likely he's going to lose. But there should at least be like, there should be a question like, should we win this match? Or like, what are we doing with Samoa Joe really? Are we putting him in these WWE Championship matches because we need a very strong, brutal-looking opponent for a plucky face to beat? Because essentially this is the same storyline that was with the AJ Styles thing, that was with the Rey Mysterio thing, that was with the Ricochet thing, and now it's with the Kofi Kingston thing. And it's kind of like, well, we know that, Samoa Joe isn't the sort of focus on the future of where they're going now. But to continue to put him in these WWE Championship matches, to me, it just feels like, what are we really doing? Like, so we're just I know he's gonna lose. So it's like, what's the point?
I mean,
I get what they're doing. I get because Kofi needs a strong opponent.
That's what I'm saying. He needs opponent. He needs opponents. They're going all the way with him. And he's got to go against somebody. I'd rather it be Joe than
if they'd gone all the way with Joe once, I probably wouldn't have felt this about. If he had won the WWE Championship during the AJ thing and maybe lost it already, I wouldn't feel so bad about it. But it's I wouldn't
feel bad if he did it here. won at Extreme Rules.
Of course, you wouldn't feel bad. Of course,
Come on, that narrative's over. Like, if he won at Extreme Rules, lost it back at SummerSlam, and then Kofi continued, and he was a 2-time champion. I mean, I don't mind these things. Again, I don't think Joe is the best opponent in ring wise anymore. I mean, that Ricochet match, like Ricochet did a lot of magic to make that one work, and he made Joe's offense look like he was selling shotgun bullets.
Right.
But like, in the end, Kofi needs guys to beat, and he needs guys to dance with. And if they're not going back to the KO thing, because he's like, Kofi seemingly like cleared up every single beef that he had in the last 2 months, literally on both shows this week.
My man is clean.
He beat Sammy and KO clean, back to back. Then he beat Dolph Ziggler like he beat a motherfucker like a drum on SmackDown. We'll talk about that in a second, but like, I'm okay with it. I'm cool with it.
It's a very interesting sort of road, but
Did you notice the Bray's puppets throughout this week?
I did. It seems like Bray isn't going to be, and we didn't get a Funhouse segment this week, so it seems like it's very imminent.
Yes.
That we'll get Bray Wyatt on Raw, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but they
showed up on SmackDown too. They showed up on SmackDown.
Yeah, they showed up on SmackDown as well. So, we'll see what happens.
Speaking of SmackDown, Kofi, like as we mentioned before, did
wait. One more thing on Raw. Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans versus Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch. They've taken this Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch thing, and they're going all in. How do you feel about it?
Cool. It's different.
How do you feel about the pair of Baron Corbin and Lacey Evans?
But they're both hated. I mean, I would much rather that than a Baron Corbin singles match, to be quite honest with you. Here's my thing. You can't knock... I am not defending this, but right. I cannot knock them for trying to get two people that do get boos, do get reactions, putting them in a position where they can make their faces look good and they can give their heels a rub.
Okay.
You can't knock them for. I know I'd rather have other people in that position as well, but everyone is literally tied up right now. So like, I'd rather them do that and then move on. I still don't know what SummerSlam looks like. Literally, like if Sasha Banks is not coming back, I don't know what it looks like for Becky.
I have no idea.
Because the stipulation is that like if they lose, they can't go against them ever again. That's the stipulation.
Yeah. It looks like they're not going to go against them ever again.
Yeah, I know. And it looks like they're not going to go against them ever again. It
looks like they're about to send Team Rocket blasting off.
So, I mean, essentially, I don't know what SummerSlam looks like, but, as we are,
Well, it's going to be a big card. It's in Toronto. It's going to be big.
And they can heat up literally anyone.
Anyone. They can just throw anyone in there.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens after Extreme Rules. But I don't hate it. It's different. I do like that they're mentioning the relationship on TV because it's like, why not? Why not mention it? They're the two champions on your flagship show. Why not have them together? Again, it's like the people who are annoyed with it are literally people who either think that a man shouldn't be getting helped by a woman, or they feel as though it's undermining a championship, or it's like it's really superficial things. I think it's sweet. I think they're cool. I think that people
find it weird or weird.
Yeah, people find it weird or very weird. That's a great way to put it.
Or weird. I find nothing wrong with it, but the match itself, it is what it is. We're getting it. Extreme Rules in a couple weeks, so we'll see how it goes.
SmackDown. We did talk about these tag matches earlier, but there was a large part of the show was devoted to the tandem of Rowan and Daniel Bryan, as well as the tandem of Xavier Woods and Big E, Heavy Machinery, and KO and Sami Zayn. We talked about this during the match changes segment of the show. I did feel as though both matches were extremely strong. I think Heavy Machinery is like they're working very hard. I think that they're actually winning over a lot of fans with their act as well, especially Tucker. I thought Tucker has been working his ass off lately. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, they're doing good. They're doing good. Nikki Cross beat Bayley. I think it's Bayley's first loss in quite some time.
Yeah,
By
after
pin.
she started losing after Mania, yeah, or before Mania. But yeah, it's definitely this is all continuously building, and it looks cool, and it's a great look for Nikki Cross, and it's a great storyline for her.
Yes,
I'll say that.
I mean, because now it's technically like, what if Nikki beat Bayley already? She should be getting a title shot and not Alexa. So it looks like, I mean, if Charlotte's not going to be back for a while,
Charlotte chilling. Charlotte was out stomping grounds.
yeah, like she was in the backstage area.
She was just rompered up.
She was cheering on Ricochet.
She was cheering on Ricochet. She was just like, oh, I felt like she was in Gorilla at the wrong time.
Yeah,
and they're just like, yo, Charlotte, stand over here. And she's like, I'm clapping now, but I'm a heel and I hate people.
I'm cool with it. I mean, I wouldn't mind a Alexa, Bayley, Nikki triple threat. That would be pretty dope. And then, but the thing is, neither of them are on Raw or on SmackDown, which is, again,
I'm not sure.
Again, turned on Alexa. But
yeah. I mean, but it's more a thing for sort of Bayley to win. I have a question for you. This will be exciting. Who is knocking on Aleister Black's door? We got the segment of Aleister Black. He's asking, he's begging for competition. He's wondering why people haven't been challenging him. Like, this is crazy. And then someone knocks on his door and he does that creepy, I don't know if Vince taught him that smile, but don't do it again. That creepy smile.
Can we give him his flowers for his delivery on this segment?
Yeah, it's incredible. He's doing great.
He's a hell of a promo. I think that, again, I've said this from the beginning, he should be an event. He should be a big deal when he is in the ring. That's one thing that I worried about with him being in that tag match or the tag matches with Ricochet, was that, like, you don't want to see this entrance every single week. That's just not what we should be seeing every week.
You're probably going to end up seeing it every week after a while anyway.
I don't think we will. I think if we do, it'll be like, they should save that entrance. It shouldn't be like that every week. But I don't think it's Bray. I know people keep putting 2 and 2 together with the let me in, knock on the door. I don't think it's Bray. If it's rumored to be Cesaro. I think that's excellent.
Cesaro wants to smoke.
I think if it's Buddy, I think that's excellent too. I think it's a misdirect.
God, Buddy.
I think it's a misdirect, though. I think it is a misdirect. I think he will get that match at Extreme Rules, and Orton will be his match at SummerSlam. Because Orton is all, when people, when the booking and the creative sees something in someone, because Orton's always their first feud.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
Roman got it. Seth got it. Everyone gets the Roman feud. Daniel Bryan got it. When they see
the Randy Orton feud,
everyone gets it.
Yeah, you know what? Not mad at it. We also had another very enticing, I guess, confrontation this week. Shinsuke Nakamura has finally returned to our television set. How do you feel?
I popped.
I know you did. It was it's to your faves in the segment.
Yeah, I popped.
It's like, you booked this. It's like, oh, here we go.
I will say, I was mad over that. How come nobody told me? And I think people did that on purpose. They're like, nobody told me that Nakamura.
No one's watching SmackDown. I'll be honest with you. My timeline is gone. Like, I watch it because I have no other time to watch it to prepare for this show. But timeline is gone. But Shinsuke Nakamura versus Finn Balor. My God, what an event. This is what we've been waiting for, right?
Love it. I know Shinsuke is not the same guy he used to be. And Finn kind of wrestles up to his opponent's level, but I think it should be a great fucking feud. If they need to give me that match now. I was bummed out again about the Andrade thing, but it looks like Andrade Apollo is a cool little consolation feud between two guys that work really, really hard. And
maybe we get it in Japan. Who knows?
I think that'd be dope too. I think there's a lot of potential in that match, and I think that if you give Nakamura, IC title, he can make it look like it, at least a shell of what it looked like in New Japan if he has that belt.
He might be the first person to ever hold both Intercontinental Championships, huh?
Yeah. Hi, Jericho.
Oh, wait. Yeah, I forgot it. He existed.
Yeah, I thought that was a cool segment. Another cool segment I thought was made a lot of sense was the Sonya Deville Ember Moon match and feud that, again,
Nice little
SmackDown
undercard feud. Yeah, nice little undercard.
They're doing a lot of cool intertwining with the Carmella, Mandy, Sonya, and Ember, Sonya, Mandy feud. I think this all will build up to Carmella eventually coming out to help Ember Moon. I think, it's great to get Ember Moon on TV in any way, shape, or form. And I think that, as short as of a match it is, I see where they're trying to go with it. And I do really enjoy Sonya and Mandy together. No Iconics this week, though.
No, I mean, Iconics, yeah, they were in a pre-tape segment, or in a WWE exclusive segment. I mean, that's where they thrive anyway, on the internet, because they were worried about their Kabuki Warriors match, which I thought was this week, but it's apparently in Japan. I think
it's in Japan.
It's in Japan. So
the Japan match is going to determine if they get the title
match. Right.
So I'm guessing the title match will happen at Extreme Rules to fill out that card.
That's what it looks like. What else happened? They hinted at a little. They hinted at a little. I don't know, sexual tension or something between Sonya and I don't know if she was just being extra touchy.
I do that,
Mandy.
I do that to my friends.
Oh, word. All right. Well, keep that energy away from the barbecue that I won't be at.
No, that's gonna be the whole barbecue.
Oh my God. Anything else from SmackDown, man? This week in 24/7. Lots of. First of all, Drake Maverick lost it at his wedding.
Yeah, we got. How we would be remiss to figure out that.
We at this point, the 24/7 needs its own type of thing. It's Raw, SmackDown, and then the world of 24/7,
which is 24/7. Literally, lost it to R-Truth at his wedding. Then R-Truth lost it to Heath Slater. Lost it to EC3.
No. Then Heath Slater. Yeah, Heath Slater lost it to R-Truth. R-Truth then lost it again to Cedric Alexander. Go Cedric. Cedric lost it to EC3, and the EC3 loses it back to R-Truth. And
that was a weird lose back because Carmella just took the belt.
Yeah, she just took it. I think it was a distraction. It was a distraction. Listen, she's a DAB, if you know what I'm saying.
How weird was that? And then not too much 24/7 on SmackDown this week.
The Drake Maverick and R-Truth thing. I'm glad they're giving him time.
I think it's cool. I like it.
It's interesting. I don't know if I haven't been watching 205 Live, so I don't know if this is running off into like he's doing a terrible job.
Mike Bennett is doing it on Twitter for us. It's not showing up on 205 proper. The 205 is just kind of matches, and that's it. What I will say about SmackDown and even Raw is that a lot of these stories intertwine in so many ways, in a way that I've never seen on WWE programming. As far as the men and the women intertwining with Carmella, Truth intertwining into Truth, in his 24/7 pursuit, and Carmella and Mandy and Sonya, Becky and Lacey intertwining within Seth and Baron, the tag teams intersecting with the Revival and all the heel teams against with each other against the Usos and the New Day and everyone. I really do enjoy feeling like these characters actually work together,
right?
And are in the same company together. I really like that idea. And again, like I said earlier, I really do enjoy the fact that I feel as though they're trying new things because it's sorely needed.
Yeah, I guess it depends. It depends. I mean, continue to try new things. Maybe I'll like it. Maybe I don't. A lot of things I haven't liked. It's not that it's anything bad. It's just I think it's not necessary. But as long as we continue to try new things, we know that we've got one more pay-per-view on the horizon before the big important one. The big important one where big important things will happen. So we have that to look forward to in this summer slump that we've been experiencing. But yeah, that's this week. There was a lot that happened this week, and a lot of it just happened in the last 3 days.
Man, we went through the gamut of it literally as it happened this week. What a crazy
WWE
week.
Uploaded Alexa Bliss versus Bayley at Extreme Rules 2017 to their YouTube if you want to see the evolution of Bayley and how she legitimately got beaten 5 minutes by Alexa Bliss.
Shout out to the kendo stick and shout out to Chris Novak.
Shout out to Chris Novak, just a Bayley supporter, and shout out to his top 25 list. Shout out to him.
Yeah,
make sure you check that out.
He's the stat guy. He is the stat guy.
No. There's a stat guy, Greg. Come on, stat guy. Greg is the stat guy. He's just
stat guy Chris.
Stat guy. Oh, or
stat guy.
Right.
Chris. Yeah,
Right.
stat guy Chris, bro.
All
Come
right.
on, man.
I don't know.
But yeah, that was the week in pro wrestling. Of course, RNC Radio Live. Follow us at RNC Radio Live. We have a bunch of podcasts. Of course, we had the premiere of myself and Mark's Overly Medicated podcast talking about HBO's Euphoria TV show. We're going to keep
Go you guys.
Yeah, it just came out of nowhere. My girlfriend was like, yet another one.
I know, right? That's why I haven't done one yet. Yeah. Sorry. I know what's going to happen.
I said, yep, yet another one.
I missed my girlfriend doing this podcast right now. So
she laughed at it, but I know that it was
it was one of those laughs. It was just like
you know what was behind it. But yeah, follow us at RNC Radio Live. Follow me at OG95 and Meelz at Meelz TV for all the latest and greatest on RNC Radio. And until next week, Meelz, you got anything else?
Once again, listen to that Chatham and Nelson pod. It's pretty good. Once again, I would say just everyone, I won't say chill out on Twitter, but I think everyone needs to pull it back just a touch. I think we're going into a place where we're all going to hate professional wrestling soon. Pull it back just a touch. Try to enjoy what you can. If you don't like it, don't watch it, or at least make some funny tweets about it. I don't know. That's all I can say.
All right. Until next week. For Meelz, I'm Justin. See you later.
My champion is still black.